Most of this talk is going to be about the universal data plane and also about how it impacts digital transformation in a big way, right? So before we get into what digital transformation is from my perspective, in order to sound executive, I have to kind of rant out some of these stats, right? So 50% of CEOs surveyed by Gartner recently have said that digital transformation will unrecognizably change their IT environments for their businesses, right? 75% of them say that it will increase their margins pretty significantly. How and why we can get to in a second. So what's digital transformation? I think what's happening today is people want to bring the entire public cloud on-premise, right? Now, if you look at what's happening in the enterprises today, most of them are running their IT in a bimodal fashion, right? That is, one is IT as we traditionally know it, right? The second, the lines of businesses have created shadow IT. They do it in one of two ways. And the reason they do it is because IT is not able to keep pace with delivering for them what they need in order to innovate for their businesses or for their customers, right? One, they either go to the public cloud, or two, there's a whole class of engineers who are now picking up open source or building systems after being inspired by systems built either in Amazon, Google, or Facebook, right? So this is a double whammy. If you go the cloud, you get hit by a bill that'll hit you like a freight train, right? Second, if you run your own infrastructure for your own apps, you're kind of victims of your own success because you got to manage and run these infrastructures. So they try to push that back into traditional IT right now, right? When you do that, IT is incapable of handling that because there aren't enough tools to make them do so, right? The key is that automation is at the heart of this problem. You need to solve on-demand capacity and scalability issues, right? So a lot of innovation has happened in the application stack, right? There are application tools that help deliver digital transformation through microservices. For example, Docker and containers through Docker environments, right? There are also a whole slew of orchestration tools that have become very popular now, like Mesosphere, OpenStack, Kubernetes, and even Microsoft has their own Azure stack coming into the data center. Right? The public cloud always had many of these tools kind of really built, be it Amazon or Google or Azure. And in fact, most of these digital transformation services, they're begin like skunkwork operations in the cloud, right? Storage infrastructure has not kept up at all. And at scale, it breaks down. And that's where we come in, right? We believe that the future of storage should be a programmable data management platform that does three things. One, there's been a big myth in the industry so far, created by incumbent storage vendors, where you cannot have a solution that can do SAN and have the same solution do NAS or have the same solution do object. I think with newer distributed models, you can collapse all three protocols on a single platform. That's what we bring to the table, okay? Two, before I get into two, I'll talk about three. There are multiple tiers that you will typically find in an enterprise from a storage perspective. Again, people use different vendors for different tiers. Again, the same myth applies. I think we can blow that out of the water. Based on policy and based on hardware SKU, you can have one software platform that can collapse all those tiers into one platform. Three, I think more and more people will not want to be in the business of running their own data centers. Ultimately, it will make its way into the public cloud. Now, going into the public cloud, if you go with one vendor, it's one giant vendor lock-in, right? What if you could provide a storage platform that can span multiple clouds and give you locality of access to data, right? Because moving applications are easier when you have to move only the compute and not carry terabytes or petabytes of data with you from one place to another. Right? That's something that we bring to the table, and we'll talk about how. So what is the universal data plane in a nutshell? See, typically in any kind of architectural stack, you have your SAN, your NAS, and your object environments, and there's a whole lot of other applications or hardware devices that you put in in order to drive replication, DR, et cetera, right? On top of this, nowadays you have VMs, and virtualization in the past was only through hypervisors, but now you have even container-based kind of virtualization, right? And all different kinds of orchestration tools are now available in the market. You can use any one of your favorite ones, but this is how a typical stack would look like, right? There's a lot of clutter at the bottommost layer. What we want to do is to provide a software-defined storage platform that can run on off-the-shelf commodity hardware and take over all the tiers that were initially siloed or are siloed today, right? And what does this help with? This helps with people being able to easily spin up workloads dynamically and go about doing their business and not worry about how the underlying storage infrastructure needs to scale, right? What we do in our system is, and I think this is what everyone in the future should kind of strive to do, the platform should be able to blur the lines or the boundaries in terms of how data centers are laid out. A site's a site. It shouldn't matter whether it's a site run by you or a site run by the public cloud, or whether this whole thing is spread across multiple public clouds. One should be agnostic to that, right? And that's what we bring to the table. The cloud lock-in or the vendor lock-in, the problem that I spoke about, which is it's always easy to move the compute than to move terabytes or petabytes of data. By having a solution like this, which has the potential to span multiple public clouds, giving you the ability to choose where you want your data to be replicated into during provisioning, and further have the ability to orchestrate that, makes this a reality. And whatever I'm telling you right now, it's not a pipe dream. This is something that we are shipping today, and our customers are using it today. So in a sense, what we have really learned is that these are some of the fundamental tenets any large-scale storage platform should support out of the box. Scale out is a given, right? If you're not scale out in this day and age, you may as well go home, right? Specialized hardware, custom ASICs, I think they're going to die a painful death. It's all software architectures where all intelligence is in software. Multi-site replication should be offered natively from the platform. That's what we do. We push the envelope even further, and we blur the lines between on-premise and public clouds. Automation and orchestration, that's a fundamental tenet for any digital transformation capability. One should be able to, you don't need people with specialized skills anymore to be able to provision storage assets. And application awareness, this is something that's kind of new. What if you could provide policies from your storage platform and let application developers choose which policy they want to turn on or off according to the requirements of the app? For instance, if you could have policies like, I'm going to give you a very simple example, compression and deduplication. Now, whether a piece of data compresses or not, that is something the app developer should know better than the underlying platform. So if you know that your storage asset for your app needs compression capability, you turn it on only for that storage volume. Let it not come in the way of all the other storage volumes that other apps would be consuming. And you could do the same thing for deduplication. You don't need the overhead of deduplication when you really don't need it, right? So this is going to be key, and this is something that we provide out of the box. I would highly urge you guys, Matt Groon, my colleague, is over here. He has a breakout session. You can see all these capabilities shown live, and I thank you all for the opportunity. Thank you.